Okay, so we have been in the previous video we have been discussed about what are these attributes mean, and all the theories that are relevant to that under that topics. So then we can move forward. So up until now we have been discussed these two aspects. So we have been successfully discussed what are these entities. Then we have been discussed what are these attributes. So now we have to left talk about relationships, and this is very essential topic. It is like 100% essential. So if you don't have any clear idea about relationships, database relationships, then you can't draw a diagram. And basically, relationship is the base for database and everything which are relevant to the database management system. And this is the most important, one of the most important topic, and this will be kind of long. Okay, so this one. So what is a relationship in DBMS? Okay, so relationships. So relationships are exist in between two or more relations. This is the whole idea about relational database management systems, which we are normally generally known as RDBMS. Okay, so in here I have been given some examples. The first one is employee works for a department. So this is the first place where ER model uh, has been drawn. So this is basically a very simple ER diagram. We can consider that this is a very simple ER diagram. It is not a complete one. It is a partially completed, but this is how ER diagrams are made of, by relating each entities. So maybe if you haven't done anything related to the ER diagram, you might be having some kind of confusion. Why I have been given in here some line which saying employee works for a department. So basically that is the requirement. Okay? So if you remember the our software life cycle or database management life cycle, or life cycle for a system, everything is same. So there is a first phase known as requirement analysis. So requirement analysis, we are going to initialize, or we are going to analyze about the problem. So the problem is employee works for a department. What we should represent in the database. So that's why it that that thing is given as a line. In the ER diagram question, maybe a question related to the ER diagram, there will be a very long passage. So in that passage, what we have to do is to identify these type of lines. Then by using those lines, we have to initialize what are the entities, what are the attributes, and what are the relevant relationships. Then there are so many things. Basically, by using those lines, we can identify what are the relevant attributes, what are the relevant entities, and what are the corresponding relationship. So in this line, it says employee works for a department. So each and every word is very essential, but until for now, for now, this is how we are going to represent our ER model. This is just partially completed. It is not a completed one yet. So employee is a entity. We can identify it as an entity. So department is also entity because it's a place and employee is a person. So persons, places and instances are entities. Therefore, those are the relevant entities. So the employee is an entity, department is an entity. So what is the relationship in between those employee and relation? Let's say employee and department. So the relationship is works for. So that relation we are going to represent by using this notation as a works for. Okay, so it's very simple thing. You should first initialize entities, then you should have analyzed what is the relationship in between those entities. Then by using a relevant uh, notations, you can make this representation. But there are some several important things you should know. Maybe you might not be notice these aspects. The first one is this one. Okay, so I'll explain it after analyzing this second example. So in the second example, students have lectures, which means we know student is a entity and lecture is another entity. Then have or has is the relevant relationship. Okay, so in here I can explain what I said before. So maybe you haven't noticed this. Okay, so in here the employee is let's say a singular employee is a singular noun, but in the student is not a singular noun. But when it comes to entity, it has been become a singular, and lectures is not a singular, but in here it has become a singular, and have is not a singular, but in here it has become a singular. So that is basically how we represent our diagrams, right? So maybe the given context might be having uh, what is the word for not singular? I'm not remember that. Anyway, so might maybe the given context having the not singular values or not singular entities or not singular components. Therefore, but your entities or relationships should be having in a singular format, right? So that's why I highlighted these things because it's essential. If you declare an entity like students, then it is wrong. It is not ER model forms. Each and every aspect should be in a singular format, right? So that's why this verb is also become a singular, because student and lecturer is singular. Then the verb should be also become, or maybe a relationship also should be a word of singular. Okay. Okay, so this is very essential. So there are 5 types of relationships. They are normally known as degrees of relationships. So the 5 types are: first one is unary, then the binary, then third one is ternary, then quaternary, then n-ary. So maybe if you are familiar with discrete mathematics, those word came under the sets topic. If you are familiar with, and yeah, that's exact same thing, because as I said before, database management system are made by using set theories. So the theories that are relevant to the set theories are also relevant to the database management systems. So those are interrelated, exact same things, exact same definitions. And for now, I'm just going to explain about the definition for the databases. And you can later look out the discrete mathematics part also. So I think it will be more clear later. Okay, so let's move to the first one, unary. So unary is a relationship between the instance of a single entity. This is also known as a recursive relationship or self-referencing relationship. So if you are familiar with this recursive method, it is also self-referencing. So in the programming, we are going to define recursive functions. It is self-referencing. It is inside of the exact same function because it's self-referencing. It is calling itself. So exact same thing over here. Unary means it is calling itself. So I have given some example over here. So one of the employee, known as a manager, manages employees. So manager is itself an employee. When it comes to let's say a department, there are employees, and some of the employees are managers. So manager is itself an employee. That's why this managers unary relationship comes from. Basically, it's self-referencing. And it is maybe it is kind of difficult to identify this state, but when we are drawing ER models, it will be easy because there will be a whole passage for the scenario, and there will be easy to identify what are the unary relationships because there will be some hint. So in here, the hint is given in a bracket, but in the questions, I don't think they will be given like this. We have to imagine that scenario, depend on the context. Okay, so that is basically about unary relationships. It is a self-referencing entity or self-referencing relationship type. And the second one is binary. So a relationship between the instances of two entities, most common relationship type. So I think these notations are more familiar now because we have discussed about that fact before. So there I have been given some example. Supplier supplies part to a department. So what are the relevant? Okay. Yeah, I have been done some mistake again over here. So this will be supplier, and this will be department, and the relevant relationship will be supplies. Yes, should be having over there. Otherwise, it's not a singular format. Then there will be a conspiracy, compromising thing. So that is how binary relationships are made. Binary relationships are made of in between two entities. That's why it is known as binary. Because let's say binary means 1 and 0, only two values. Like the exact same definition, binary relationships, only two entities. That is more prominent, I think. And the ternary. So ternary relationship is between the instances of three entities. So in the first one, the unary is existing in a one entity. It's self-referencing or recursively it's self-referencing. And the binary, there were two entities. And the ternary, there are three entities. So it's very simple. But the definition is simple. But when it comes to a actual scenario, this is kind of difficult because ternary relationships are kind of having some kind of a weird constraint types. Therefore, kind of complex. This one. But the example is very simple. The example is teacher teaches for a multiple students. Okay, maybe I have done some mistake over here. Okay, this is not the relevant example. So the relevant example is like this. Suppliers can supply parts for a department like this. Suppliers. Okay, maybe I have been mixed up the previous slide and this slide when I'm making this. But this is correct now. So suppliers can supply parts for a department. So supplier is a entity, part is an entity, department is again entity. What is the relevant relationship is supply. So there will be a ternary because one relationship but three entities. One relationship but three entities. So the only option is represent it as a ternary like this. Quaternary, a relationship between instances of four entities. So unary there was a 1, binary there was a 2, ternary there was a 3, in quaternary quad. The quad means 4, a quadcopter, which means floor four parts. Likewise, the quaternary means 4 entities. So in here, teacher teaches some subjects for students using textbooks. So the teacher is an entity, subject is an entity, student is an entity, then textbook is an again entity. But the given relationship or given verb is teachers. But you maybe you can define it as a studies, or maybe you can define it as a teachers. It depends on the context, right? Because as I said before, this a simple line will not be enough to draw a complete ER model. So there will be having some kind of a confusions. So maybe you can define this quaternary as a studies or maybe teachers. It depends on the context. But the idea is quaternary is existing in between four entities. Okay, so in n-ary, so a relationship between instances of n amount of entities. So in the unary there were only 1, binary 2, then ternary 3, then quaternary 4. Likewise, if we followed this sequence, then there will be having some kind of a n amount of relationship. So it is known as n-ary and it is more complex. So in this state, I'm not having an example for that because it's normally it is very difficult to identify in the real world situation. So maybe you can Google it and found out what is this n-ary means. And this is that I don't have a clear idea what is n-ary means. I have idea about what is n-ary means, but I I am unable to represent it as a example. So maybe the Google will be an option. Okay. So those are the attributes, the degrees of relationships. So if I move backward to the following slide, so we have been discussed unary, which means only one, then binary, two, then ternary means three, quaternary means four, then n-ary means there will be n amount of entities in between one relation. Okay, yeah, did I stop? Maybe okay, over here. So the next slide is okay, constraints of a constraint on a relationship type. So this is the again a very important thing. Okay, so most of the time we have to define what are the possible ranges or possible relationship ratios for entities and their relationships. Let's say imagine, okay, let's say a programming. So in the programming, there are constraints because there are some possible values and there are some impossible values for a particular program. So we should define those constraints. Otherwise, there will be errors. So exact same thing happen on the DVMs. So there will be having possible ranges and there will be having impossible ranges. So if we exceed the possible ranges, there will be an error. So the only option to avoid that issue is defining a constraint. Right? That is basically what constraint means. Okay, so in order to do that, we use constraints. Those are also known as structural constraints because it's a structure that we already had been defined in the database. Right? So you will be having clear idea about those constraints when it comes to SQL parts. So there are two types of constraints. The first type is cardinality ratio, which is the more easier one, and the participation, which is the more difficult one. The first one is kind of easy, but participation can be difficult because okay, you will be see later what I mean. Okay, I think our video length is exceeding. Yeah, I will continue. So cardinality ratio. So basically cardinality ratio is specifying the maximum number of instances of an entity that can relate with another entity. Okay. So as I said before, now we are going to consider about ranges. So a range have two parts. The first one is the most prominent part, or can let's say exceeding part, and there will be a range, a possible range. Then the decrement, let's say the lessening range. So both ranges are not relevant to the particular database. So that's why we have to define constraints. So basically, what is this cardinality ratio means? This part, or let's say maximum part. In order to avoid this range, in here we have to initialize what is the maximum ratio, right? So it's normally known as cardinality ratio. Right? Okay. So when we are considering binary relationships, so binary means two entities. Possible cardinality ratios are 1 to 1, 1 to many, and many to many. Right. What is hurting now? Okay. Uh, so those are the possible cardinality ratios for a binary relationship. Right? So remember there are 5 types of relationships or relationship degrees. So there will be 5 types of possible cardinality ratios according to each of those degrees. So for now, we are going to discuss the binary relationships cardinal ratios. So there are 3: 1 to 1, 1 to many, many to many. So 1 to 1. This means the maximum number of participants are both 1 for each entity. Are both 1. So this is the point. So in here I have been given an example. So a department has a manager and employee manages the department. So I think you have the ability to identify the entities and the corresponding relationship. So the department will be an entity and employee will be another entity. So what is the reason I have been initialized managers? I haven't been initialized manager as an entity because manager is itself an employee. So if we define manager like another entity, so it will be unnecessary entity because manager is itself an employee. So all the relevant data for that manager is existing in the employee entity. So it is not relevant to define again and again the same data components or data paths. So that's why I haven't defined manager as another entity. So maybe in a question, those are the difficult moments. So if you identified manager as an entity, then your ER diagram completely different. That's why I thought these ratios are kind of difficult. It depends on the context, and we have to correctly identify what are the entities by using that corresponding context. For now, the relevant entities are department and employees, and the what we call this relationship is managers. Okay, so the cardinal ratio is 1 to 1. 1 to 1. So what is this meaning? Uh, so each department have a manager, right? So remember this employee is now a manager. So each department have one manager, and so if you go like this, then employee will be one because only one. Each department have a one employee. So if we go backward or other side, then each manager manages a department, only one department, because one manager can't manage two departments. Only one department is possible. Therefore, employee manages a department. So this will be 1. Right? So that is how basically 1 to 1 cardinality is made or made of. It's depend on the context. So that's why I have been highlighted this A and A over here, because those are the word components that we are going to identify the corresponding relationship. So basically a means a singular one, and means a singular one, therefore there should be having a one-to-one relationship. So I think it's clear. Likewise, one to many, this means the maximum number of participants one side is 1 and other side is maximum, right? So in here I have been given the same example. Another example: a department has many employees and employee works for a department. So the relevant let's say department and employee are the entities, and works is the relationship and the cardinality. So this is the important one. So a department have many employees. Let's say uh, a New York department of Ubisoft has 100 employees. Uh, so if we read like this, department has many employees. So this will be N, which represent the multi, the idea. Then if we read like this, which means employees work for a department. So imagine a relevant employee or relevant, let's say, when it comes to Ubisoft, a relevant game designer is only work for that company. That game designer can't work for Ubisoft and Rockstar and for any other companies or any other department. He is only working for that department. So it will be one. So employee works for a department. So that is how one-to-many relationships are made of. You can also identify those relationships by using words. Okay, so the next one is many-to-many. This means the maximum number of participants are both sides is maximum. So an employee works for many projects and project has many employees. So I don't think it is explained again and again. So those are the relevant entities, project, and this is the relevant relationship. So if we read like this, the project have many employees. Let's say a project like let's say the making the movie Avatar is a project, so it have 500 employees. That project. So a project have multiple employees, so it will be N. If we read like this, employee have many projects, because imagine the graphic designs. Okay, let's say the project Avatar or any kind of a movie. So so the employees who are working for that movies could be also working for another movies. Let's say Avatar and I don't know, maybe Avengers, something like that. So employee could be having multiple projects. So the both side, those are multiple. So that's the basically mean-to-mean relationship. Okay, so the end of this topic. So not only binary relationship, but also other degrees of relationship have a cardinal ratio. Like this is only for the binary, but there are unary. So basically unary don't have relationship because it's a self-referencing. But when it comes to ternary, quaternary, n-ary, there are relationships, but more complex. So for example, in ternary, those are the possible relationships: one to one to one, one to one to many, one to many to many, many to many to many. Kind of complex, but those are the possible relationships. And yeah, other degrees like quaternary and n-ary also have cardinal ratios, but more complex to identify. So it is not necessary to define E for cardinal ratios for each and every degrees. It is the exact same thing. The ratios depends on the maximum value. Okay, so the participation is the second topic, second constraint. And participation, so basically participation is specifying the minimum number of instances. So if you remember the ranges I have been drawn, So this is the possible range. So this is, there will be a prominent range and lessening range. So in this area, we have to define cardinal ratios. In this area, there will be participations. Right? So the both areas will be covered. So both constraints will be defined the relevant range. Right? It is basically what constraint means. Okay, so basically participation is specifying the minimum number of instances of an entity that can be related with another entity. So when we are considering binary relationship, possible participation are, first is total participation, second one is partial participation. So let's go more deep for these topics. Okay, so the participation symbols. So if you remember the cardinal ratios, we haven't declared any symbol. We just use 1 and m and n. Those are just notations. But when it comes to participations, there are relevant participation symbols. So there is a symbol for participation and again for a partial participation. So basically partial participation is a exact same notation for a relationship, but for total participation there are two lines, right? That is how participation represents in a gear diagram. So if you are for a relationship and entity is having total participation, then there will be two lines like this. And if it is saying partial participancy, then there will be having only one line. Okay. Okay. So total participation. So total participation means when we are considering one particular entity, if it is having at least one or more instances in a relationship, we call it as a total participation, or let's say we call it has total participation. So basically the mean value will be greater than 0. So this is how you remember the total participation. So okay, so imagine example like employees work for a department and employees work for a department and each department has many employees. So this is the example. Employees work for a department and each department has many employees. It means these employees are the instances, entities, and work is the relationship. Those are very simple things we can identify. And now we know cardinal ratios. So we should apply that material over here. Right? That's why we have learned that fact. So after applying cardinal ratio, there will be M and N, because employee works, maybe this is okay. So I have been done some mistake over here. Employee work for a department and a department have many employees, and over here also there will be 1 and N. Okay, so after applying cardinal ratio, over here there will be N and there will be 1. We have been discussed that fact. So this one, after applying participation constraint, there will be both side total participation. So this is kind of difficult. So imagine this scenario. So every department should have at least one employee, because otherwise the department will be empty. It is meaningless. And In the other hand, employee, at least there should be a one department. Right? So it is exactly one department. Anyway, employee should work for a department. Otherwise, it's meaningless. That relationship is meaningless. So maybe all of the employees work for a same department. Okay, so it is not relevant. Let's say all the employees should work for some department. All the employees. Otherwise, it is meaningless. And every department should have at least one employee. Maybe having multiple, at least one employee. So that is where that participation constraint appears. Participation, it participate. Employees participate for the department. The department have many employees. Likewise, the exact same thing goes backward. It means department could have multiple employees, and employees have or should have a department. That's basically participation ratio, participation constraint. Okay, so example, employee works for a department and each department has many employees. So why I have defined this is as a total participation and this is a department participation. And as I explained, in both sides, at least there should be a one, at least. But in this context, all the employees are working for some department and every department have employees. So both side is every meaning. So that's why I have been emphasized that word over here. So every employee, this part work for a department, and every department, which means this part, every department has an employee. So basically remember, every means all means total means the min value is not 0, maybe 1, maybe 2, maybe the maximum value. Total is not 0, so it is existing total value. It is known as total participation. I think it's more clear right now. That is basically everything that you should know about total participation. So let's consider another example. So employee managers department. So these are the relevant entities and these are the relevant cardinalities, and what we have to analyze this fact, which means the participation. So in here, employee maybe, so this is okay, this is the wrong so manager, sorry, it is not works, it will be managers. Okay, so employee may be managed department, which means let's say a workplace having 100 employees and it having 5 managers, which means other existing 95 employees are not managers, which means those employees are not managed department. Okay, so there will be having some kind of employees who are not managers department, which means the minimum value is 0. Okay, so it is kind of difficult, and but in the other hand, every department should have a manager. So it is every, and other side is maybe or maybe not. Right? So maybe it is easy to identify those facts by using the word materials. So always remember, maybe represent the partial participation and total represent the or every represent the total participation. So in this state, we only have covered total participation. So this is basically partial participation. But For now, this is how total participation works, because every department have a manager, so there will be a total participation. Okay, maybe okay, so employee works for a department and each employee has many employees. After applying participation constraints, there will be a partial participation in this left side, and there will be a total participation in the right side. So how we analyze that fact is by identifying those corresponding word materials. So every department has a manager. Every department has a manager. So it will be like this. Every department has a manager, and some employees manage this department. Some. It is not again. It is not. Maybe they will be having some kind of managers, but most of the employees are not managers. So there will be some employees manage the department. So some means some employees are not managing department. So their participation is zero. They are not participating for that context. So the mean value will be zero. So I think if you follow this word flow, so some means maybe they are having some kind of managers, maybe they are not managers. So maybe means partial. It means some are the part of employees are managing, the part of employees are not managing. So it's partial. So partial means mean is zero, which means some employees are directly managers, so they are managers department. So their participation is equal to 1. So if there are let's say 5 managers, their participation will be 5. But there are, let's say a work area like 100 employees, so the rest of 95 will be just employees, so they are not managers, so they are not managing departments, so their participation will be 0, so mean will be 0. Basically it's a partial participation, and I think that is what we have to talk about for the partial participation. Okay, I think for now we have been discussed most of the fact related to the ER diagram. So let's see this one. Let's select this one. So we have been just finished relationships. So in the first video I have been described the facts you should know about entities. Then the second one in the second part I explained about attributes. In the third part I explained about relationships. So as a summary, the relationships, there were 5 types of relationships: unary, binary, ternary, quaternary, and n-ary. And there were 2 constraints. The first constraint is total participation. The second constraint is partial participation. In the total participation, all the relevant, let's say, attributes or so all the relevant instances are participating for that corresponding contest. All the relevant instances are participating for that relevant contest. So that's why we are calling it as a total participation, and it covers the prominent path of the possible range. And we have been discussed the partial participation. So basically partial participation means maybe they are having some kind of instances who are participating for that corresponding contest, and maybe they will be having some kind of instances who are not going to participate that corresponding context. So the participation will be maybe 0, maybe greater than 0, but the 0 is existing, which means it's the lessening path, which it covers the lessening path of the possible range. and that's the partial participation. And those are the everything that you should know about relationships according to the DBMS. In the next video we're going to talk about some other stuff that you should know about ER diagrams. Then we can move to the drawing ER diagrams. Yeah. So thank you.